In the early 20th century, the United States Army faced a challenge that would shape the outcome of future wars. Their standard-issue rifles were outdated, slow, and outclassed by semi-automatic designs emerging in Europe. Soldiers armed with bolt-action rifles could fire perhaps 3 to 4 rounds per minute under combat conditions, while enemies with modern weapons had a significant advantage. Amid this growing concern, one man, John C. Garand, a Canadian-born machinist's son, would create a weapon that changed infantry warfare forever. Garand's journey began in the 1910s and 1920s, a period when firearms technology was evolving rapidly. He had a deep understanding of mechanics, honed by years working for the Springfield Armory, where innovation was both necessary and risky. His design process was meticulous. He knew that to outgun the opposition, the rifle had to be reliable, fast, and simple enough for a soldier to operate under stress. Early prototypes were prone to jamming, heavy, or awkward, but Garand's vision never wavered. He wanted a rifle that could fire 8 rounds automatically without manual cycling, giving the American infantry an edge in both defensive and offensive operations. By the late 1920s, Garand had produced several semi-automatic prototypes, each iterating on lessons learned from testing. The challenge was not only in the mechanism, but in feeding ammunition efficiently. The en-bloc clip system he ultimately designed was radical. Unlike magazines or single-shot rifles, it allowed soldiers to load 8 rounds at once, and when the last round was fired, the clip ejected automatically with a distinctive metallic ping sound. That sound, which would later be recognized on battlefields worldwide, was the signature of an American advantage, a rifle that allowed a soldier to maintain continuous fire without losing precious seconds manually cycling the bolt. Military officials were initially skeptical. Critics argued that the clip system was too complex, that soldiers might get confused under stress, and that the automatic ejection of a clip could give away a soldier's position. Some even suggested that such a rifle would be more of a liability than an asset. Garand, however, believed in the principle that simplicity in operation, reliability under harsh conditions, and speed of fire could outweigh any perceived flaws. He tirelessly refined his design, running countless tests under conditions simulating the extremes of combat. By the mid-1930s, the U.S. Army began to take notice. Garand's rifle passed rigorous trials, outperforming bolt-action and other semi-automatic rifles in reliability, accuracy, and ease of use. It was officially adopted as the M1 Garand in 1936, making it the first standard-issue semi-automatic rifle in the world. The adoption marked a turning point. American soldiers would now have a weapon that allowed them to fire twice as fast as their adversaries without sacrificing accuracy or control. This was not just a technological breakthrough, it was a psychological advantage. Soldiers armed with the M1 Garand could hold positions, repel enemy attacks, and advance with confidence, knowing they had superior firepower at their disposal. The M1 Garand also represented the culmination of decades of Garand's ingenuity. Every component was designed for durability. The gas-operated system ensured that the rifle could function in muddy, wet, or sandy conditions. The stock and overall balance were engineered to reduce recoil, allowing soldiers to maintain accuracy across multiple shots. Even the clip system, once mocked by skeptics, became the rifle's defining feature. The en-bloc design ensured that reloading was fast and foolproof, even under the most stressful battlefield scenarios. As the late 1930s progressed, tensions in Europe and Asia escalated. War seemed inevitable, and the U.S. military realized the strategic importance of preparing soldiers with cutting-edge equipment. The M1 Garand would soon be tested in the harshest theaters of World War II, from the islands of the Pacific to the fields of Europe. Its adoption signaled a new era of infantry warfare, where the speed of fire, reliability, and mechanical innovation could decide battles and ultimately the outcome of wars. By the time the United States entered World War II, the M1 Garand had become the symbol of American firepower. Soldiers trained extensively, learning to load the en-bloc clips efficiently, mastering the recoil, and understanding the rifle's rhythm. When they went into battle, they did so with confidence in their weapon, a tool designed by a man who understood the precise blend of mechanical genius and practical battlefield needs. John Garand's creation was more than a rifle. It was a revolution in how wars would be fought, a weapon whose unique features would leave enemies struggling to adopt, and a testament to the power of innovation under necessity.
The genius of the M1 Garand lies not just in its speed, but in the intricate mechanics that allowed it to operate reliably under the harshest conditions. Unlike bolt-action rifles, where soldiers manually chamber each round, the M1 Garand employed a gas-operated semi-automatic system. Each time a round was fired, gas from the explosion pushed a piston, which in turn cycled the bolt, ejected the spent cartridge, and loaded the next round. This seemingly simple innovation allowed soldiers to maintain a rapid and continuous rate of fire, a revolutionary advantage on the battlefield. The en-bloc clip system was central to the rifle's effectiveness. Soldiers could insert a clip containing 8 rounds into the rifle, and as each round was fired, the clip was automatically pushed upward until the last round was discharged. When empty, the clip ejected with a metallic ping, signaling that it was time to reload. While some critics mocked the system as overly complex, it was in fact ingeniously simple. It minimized handling errors, reduced the chances of jamming, and allowed soldiers to focus on aiming and firing rather than manipulating a bolt or magazine. Every component of the M1 Garand was carefully engineered for reliability. The gas cylinder, operating rod, bolt, and receiver were all precision machined to withstand dust, mud, and sand. Tests in extreme temperatures demonstrated that the rifle functioned flawlessly in Arctic cold and in the scorching heat of the Pacific Islands. The recoil system was calibrated to absorb the kick of repeated firing, enabling soldiers to fire accurately without fatigue. Even the wooden stock was designed for durability and comfort, allowing extended use during long patrols or defensive positions. Training with the M1 Garand was equally important. Soldiers needed to master the timing of the en-bloc clip, understanding when to reload and how to maintain the rhythm of semi-automatic fire. The rifle was light enough to carry on long marches, but powerful enough to penetrate enemy cover. Soldiers quickly learned that the M1 allowed them to suppress enemy positions effectively, creating the illusion of a larger force due to its sustained fire. The rifle's design also considered battlefield reality. In the chaos of combat, soldiers often fired from prone, kneeling, or standing positions. The M1's balance and ergonomics made it versatile in all scenarios. Unlike earlier semi-automatic rifles, which were prone to jamming when not held perfectly level, the Garand's mechanism was forgiving. Its parts were accessible for cleaning and repair in the field, a crucial factor in maintaining operational readiness over long campaigns. Interestingly, the very feature that made the M1 Garand so effective for American soldiers became a barrier for enemies. The en-bloc clip used a unique feeding system that was not compatible with captured ammunition or other rifle designs. This meant that German soldiers, even if they captured a functioning M1, could not reload it efficiently in the heat of battle. Attempts to use it often resulted in frustration or abandonment, turning a potentially powerful weapon into little more than an inert trophy. The rifle's semi-automatic capability fundamentally changed infantry tactics. U.S. units armed with M1 Garands could lay down continuous fire during assaults, cover advancing squads, and repel counterattacks with unprecedented effectiveness. Platoons could maintain a rate of fire twice that of soldiers armed with bolt-action rifles, forcing enemy forces to adapt or retreat. The combination of mechanical engineering, robust materials, and innovative decisive feeding systems ensured that the Garand's advantage was not theoretical but practical, felt directly on the battlefield. Garand's meticulous attention to detail also extended to ammunition handling. The 30-06 Springfield cartridges used by the M1 were standardized, and the rifle's mechanism ensured consistent cycling regardless of minor variations in powder or casing. Soldiers quickly realized that the M1's reliability allowed them to focus on tactics rather than worrying about mechanical failures, a crucial psychological edge in high-stress combat situations. The rifle's reputation grew as it entered theaters of war. From the jungles of the Philippines to the hedgerows of Normandy, the Garand consistently outperformed enemy weapons. Officers praised its durability, and soldiers relied on it in the most demanding conditions. Its unique design, initially doubted by military authorities, proved indispensable, cementing John Garand's legacy as a designer who transformed infantry combat with a weapon that was precise, powerful, and impossibly efficient for its time. By the time World War II escalated into full-scale global conflict, the M1 Garand was no longer just a new rifle, it was the backbone of American firepower. Its combination of mechanical ingenuity, ease of use, and battlefield effectiveness set a new standard for military small arms. Every aspect of its design, from the gas piston to the en-bloc clip, reflected Garand's vision, a rifle that gave soldiers an advantage that could not be matched, and a weapon whose mechanics would continue to influence military design for decades to come.
By the time American soldiers reached the front lines in World War II, the M1 Garand had already earned a reputation as more than just a rifle. It was a game changer. In the dense jungles of the Philippines, U.S. infantrymen discovered that the Garand allowed them to maintain continuous fire against Japanese positions, who were often equipped with bolt-action rifles that required careful, deliberate cycling. One soldier described how a squad armed with Garands could deliver firepower comparable to double or even triple the number of enemy combatants, forcing ambushes to fail and enabling troops to maneuver in terrain where cover was limited. Across the Pacific, the Garand's semi-automatic capabilities proved invaluable in jungle warfare, where rapid engagement and disengagement could determine life or death. Soldiers could fire 8 rounds in rapid succession without lifting their hands from the trigger, then reload in seconds and repeat. This rhythm of fire created both physical and psychological pressure on the enemy. Japanese forces, trained to expect slower rates of American fire, often found themselves pinned down, confused, or retreating under the relentless barrage. The rifle's impact was equally profound in Europe. During the Normandy campaign, American infantry faced well-entrenched German positions protected by machine guns and fortified bunkers. A squad armed with M1 Garands could deliver sustained suppressive fire while advancing through hedgerows and open fields. The rifle's reliability meant that soldiers could focus on tactics instead of worrying about jams or misfires, a critical advantage when seconds could decide the outcome of an engagement. Accounts from veterans describe how the metallic ping of the en-bloc clip ejecting after the last round often signaled victory over a position as enemy troops realized they were outgunned and under constant threat. The Battle of the Bulge further highlighted the Garand's superiority. In freezing temperatures and heavy snow, American soldiers relied on the rifle's robust engineering. While many other weapons failed in extreme cold, the M1 Garand functioned reliably, allowing U.S. forces to repel attacks and maintain defensive lines. Reports indicate that units equipped with Garands often held out longer and inflicted greater casualties than those armed with older bolt-action rifles, demonstrating how a combination of mechanical precision and innovative design translated directly into battlefield success. The psychological effect of the rifle cannot be overstated. German soldiers, observing the continuous and precise American fire, often overestimated the number of troops they faced. The sound of the Garand firing, combined with its accuracy, created the impression of overwhelming force, even when American squads were outnumbered. This advantage not only saved lives, but also disrupted enemy planning and morale. Captured reports and post-war interviews with German veterans consistently note the fear inspired by the Garand, often highlighting their frustration at the relentless firepower of U.S. troops. In addition to rate of fire, accuracy was a defining characteristic of the M1. The rifle allowed soldiers to engage targets at distances far exceeding typical infantry ranges with bolt-action rifles. Its gas-operated mechanism reduced recoil and maintained stability, allowing repeated shots without significant loss of aim. This precision was critical in both offensive operations, such as clearing fortified positions, and defensive scenarios, like repelling counterattacks or providing cover fire during retreats. Veterans recount instances where a small squad of Garand-equipped infantry could control entire streets or fields, a feat previously thought impossible with conventional bolt-action arms. Another battlefield advantage was adaptability. Soldiers learned to fire from prone, kneeling, and standing positions without compromising efficiency. The rifle's weight distribution, balance, and ergonomics allowed rapid movement and engagement even in chaotic situations. Combined with the quick-loading en-bloc clip, the Garand gave infantry unprecedented flexibility in executing maneuvers under fire. In urban combat, hedgerow engagements, and dense forests, this adaptability translated into survival, effectiveness, and ultimately mission success. The Garand also contributed to unit tactics. Platoons could coordinate bursts of semi-automatic fire, alternating between squads to maintain a continuous barrage on enemy positions. Officers quickly realized that the rifle enabled more dynamic battlefield strategies, allowing infantry to outflank and suppress entrenched defenders more efficiently. The combination of superior rate of fire, reliability, and accuracy gave American forces a tangible edge that was recognized across all theaters of war. Perhaps most striking was the Garand's role in empowering the individual soldier. Whereas previously, a single infantryman's impact on the battlefield was limited by the speed and reliability of his weapon, the M1 allowed one soldier to influence the outcome of an engagement in ways that were previously reserved for entire squads. Each round fired was deliberate yet rapid, allowing for both suppressive and precise fire. In the hands of a skilled marksman, the rifle became an extension of the soldier, capable of decisive action and immediate tactical influence. By the end of World War II, the M1 Garand had become a symbol of American infantry dominance. From the Pacific Islands to the European continent, soldiers praised its reliability, officers trusted its precision, and enemies feared its impact. John Garand's creation had moved beyond innovation. It had shaped the strategies, outcomes, and psychology of battle. The rifle's design, mechanics, and practical battlefield advantages turned it into more than a tool. It became an instrument that redefined what was possible for an individual soldier in combat, a weapon whose legacy would endure for generations.
On the battlefields of Europe, German soldiers often encountered American weapons left behind during retreats or in skirmishes. Among these, the M1 Garand was perhaps the most puzzling and frustrating. Unlike German Mausers or captured Soviet rifles, the Garand operated on a system that was entirely foreign. The semi-automatic gas-operated mechanism combined with the en-bloc clip. At first glance, it was a powerful weapon, capable of rapid fire, yet in practice it was nearly useless to anyone unfamiliar with its unique design. German soldiers quickly discovered that the rifle could not simply be loaded with loose rounds. Unlike the Mauser, which allowed individual bullets to be chambered, the M1 required a rigid 8-round en-bloc clip. If the clip was damaged, bent, or missing, the rifle could not function. Attempts to reload using standard .30-06 ammunition without the proper clip were futile.
This meant that even if a German unit captured a pristine Garand, they often had no compatible clips or the knowledge to operate them correctly under combat conditions. The rifle became a weapon of intimidation rather than a practical tool. Reports from German units described soldiers staring at the Garand with confusion and frustration. Manuals could not compensate for the lack of training. In the heat of battle, there was no time to experiment. Soldiers who tried to force rounds into the chamber often damaged the mechanism, rendering the rifle inoperable. The very feature that gave American soldiers an advantage, speedy, continuous fire, became the source of helplessness for those who did not understand it. A rifle that could turn the tide in skilled hands became an inert trophy in enemy hands, a reminder of innovation's double-edged nature. The physical design of the Garand also contributed to this difficulty. Its weight distribution, gas-operated bolt, and precision machining were unfamiliar to soldiers trained on bolt-action rifles. The metallic ping of the clip ejecting, so familiar and reassuring to American infantry, only added to the confusion for German troops. Without proper instruction, the sound was meaningless, and the mechanism was unintuitive. In field reports, captured Garands were often abandoned or destroyed because attempting to use them under fire was far too risky. Ammunition logistics further compounded the problem. German forces used 7.92 by 57 mm Mauser cartridges, entirely incompatible with the Garand's 30-06 Springfield rounds. Even if a soldier managed to acquire American ammunition, maintaining enough clips for sustained fire was nearly impossible. In one anecdote, a captured unit attempted to arm themselves with Garands, but could not fire more than a few rounds before realizing they lacked the essential en-bloc clips. The rifles were then stored or discarded, representing lost potential rather than an added advantage. The semi-automatic firing system, revolutionary for American forces, became a liability in German hands. Where American soldiers could fire 8 rounds in rapid succession, German soldiers attempting the same risked jamming, misfiring, or breaking the delicate mechanism. The rifle's engineering brilliance meant to reduce human error, instead highlighted the gap in knowledge and training. Without familiarity and repeated practice, the Garand's advantages were inaccessible. The frustrations of German soldiers were documented in post-war interviews. Many described the Garand as a mysterious weapon that fired quickly but required knowledge they did not possess. The inability to reload efficiently created tactical challenges. If they tried to integrate captured Garands into squads, the soldiers armed with them often became liabilities rather than assets. The rifle that was a cornerstone of American dominance on the battlefield remained largely unusable for their enemies. This mismatch between design and operator skill illustrates a critical point about military technology. Effectiveness is not just a matter of engineering. A weapon can be powerful, accurate, and fast, but without proper training, it can be worthless in the hands of the unprepared. The M1 Garand perfectly embodies this principle. It was engineered to maximize American firepower, and in doing so, it created a tool that the enemy could not exploit, no matter how many were captured. The story of captured Garands also highlights the foresight of John Garand and U.S. military planners. The rifle was designed not only to enhance firepower, but to maintain strategic advantage even in the event of capture. Its en-bloc clip system, initially criticized as complex, effectively ensured that the weapon's superiority was exclusive to American forces. The very feature that frustrated the Germans, its innovative loading mechanism, underscored the combination of engineering excellence and tactical thinking behind its design. By the end of World War II, countless German soldiers had handled captured M1 Garands, but very few could operate them effectively. The rifle's mechanics, combined with the requirement for specific clips and compatible ammunition, turned potential spoils of war into curiosities. The M1 Garand's dominance on the battlefield was thus preserved, not only through the skill of American soldiers, but also through design choices that ensured it remained exclusive in its effectiveness.
In essence, the captured Garand tells a story of technological foresight. It highlights how innovation, attention to detail, and understanding of battlefield realities can shape outcomes beyond the battlefield itself. While American soldiers leveraged every advantage the rifle provided, German troops faced a weapon they could neither master nor exploit. The Garand remained in enemy hands, a silent testament to ingenuity, a tool of war whose power depended not just on mechanics, but on knowledge, training, and experience.
By the end of World War II, the M1 Garand had already cemented its place as one of the most influential infantry weapons ever created. Its unique combination of semi-automatic fire, reliability, and precision set a new standard for modern military rifles. Soldiers who had carried it across the jungles of the Pacific, the hedgerows of Normandy, and the frozen forests of the Ardennes knew firsthand the power it provided. The rifle was not just a tool, it became a symbol of American ingenuity, a representation of the advantage of careful engineering combined with tactical foresight. Even after the war, the impact of the M1 Garand continued to be felt. It influenced the design of countless future rifles, both in the United States and abroad. The concept of semi-automatic infantry weapons, which could provide sustained fire without sacrificing accuracy, became a model for subsequent generations. Military planners studied its success, recognizing how the combination of innovative mechanics, ergonomic design, and battlefield-tested reliability could multiply the effectiveness of ordinary soldiers. The Garand demonstrated that technological innovation could redefine the possibilities of ground combat, transforming small units into highly effective forces capable of holding positions, advancing under fire, and overwhelming numerically superior enemies. The rifle's legacy also lay in its contribution to military doctrine. The U.S. Army had equipped its soldiers with a weapon that allowed for both defensive and offensive flexibility. Platoons could maintain suppressive fire while maneuvering, cover advancing squads, and execute rapid counterattacks. This tactical advantage reshaped how infantry operations were conducted. The M1 Garand proved that a well-designed weapon could become a force multiplier, enabling smaller units to achieve outcomes that would have previously required larger formations or heavier artillery support. On a human level, the Garand left an indelible mark on the soldiers who carried it. Veterans often spoke of the rifle with reverence, noting not just its reliability, but the confidence it inspired in combat. Knowing that the weapon would function under any conditions, whether in mud, rain, snow, or extreme heat, gave soldiers a psychological edge. It reduced fear, allowed for decisive action, and reinforced the sense that American infantrymen had a technological edge over their adversaries. In countless battlefield accounts, the rifle is credited with saving lives and enabling soldiers to achieve missions that would have been far more perilous with older or less reliable firearms. The M1 Garand also served as a strategic advantage even beyond the battlefield. Its unique en-bloc clip system and semi-automatic firing mechanism meant that captured rifles were of limited use to the enemy, preserving American firepower superiority. While German troops could acquire the rifles during retreats or raids, they could rarely operate them effectively. This not only denied the enemy an additional weapon, but also created a subtle psychological effect. The knowledge that the Americans possessed a weapon they could not match added to the aura of U.S. military dominance. Its influence extended beyond World War II. The Garand remained in service for decades, proving its enduring effectiveness. It was the standard rifle of the U.S. military for nearly 20 years and saw action in Korea and even early stages of the Vietnam War. Its design principles, semi-automatic operation, ergonomic handling, and reliable ammunition feeding served as the foundation for later rifles, including the M1 IV.
In this way, John Garand's innovation bridged generations of infantry technology, shaping the way soldiers approached combat long after the Second World War ended. The Garand's legacy is also a story of human ingenuity and perseverance. John Garand, a Canadian-born machinist's son, created a weapon that transformed the battlefield through meticulous engineering, relentless testing, and an understanding of how soldiers would use the rifle under extreme conditions. Every element of its design, from the gas piston to the en-bloc clip, reflected a deliberate choice aimed at maximizing effectiveness and reliability. The rifle demonstrated that careful attention to detail, combined with a focus on practical application, could produce results that went beyond theoretical calculations or laboratory tests. Even today, historians and firearms enthusiasts study the M1 Garand not just for its technical specifications, but for the lessons it teaches about innovation, adaptation, and tactical advantage. It is a reminder that a single, well-designed weapon, wielded by trained and disciplined soldiers, can have an outsized impact on the course of history. The rifle is celebrated not only for its mechanical brilliance, but for the way it enabled soldiers to fight with confidence, precision, and determination, qualities that turned the tide in critical battles and contributed to the Allied victory. The enduring reputation of the M1 Garand is also tied to its cultural symbolism. It represents the intersection of technology, courage, and strategy. It embodies the principle that the right tool in the right hands can transform challenges into opportunities. From classrooms to museums, from firing ranges to documentaries, the rifle continues to inspire admiration, not merely for its firepower, but for the story it tells. A story of innovation, perseverance, and the enduring impact of a weapon designed to give ordinary soldiers extraordinary effectiveness. In the final analysis, the M1 Garand's legacy is more than metal and wood. It is the story of how one man's vision reshaped infantry warfare. It is the testament to how mechanical genius, when paired with understanding human needs and battlefield realities, can produce a tool that changes history. It is remembered as a weapon that fired bullets, but also fired the imagination of future engineers, military strategists, and generations of soldiers who would follow in the footsteps of those who first carried it across the battlefields of World War II.